So last week wait. Three weeks? I've got a good excuse. See, here on my calendar, Memorial Day weekend, and that sort of counts as a holiday. Then there's Brian's wedding the next week, where all my high school friends were here, and then I've got Be Lazy for a week. What? That's valid. It's on the calendar. So next week I'll talk about comic books from this week and the week previous. And this week I'll talk about comic books you had pulled for me on May 18th and May 25th. So this video and next week's video may run a little long. My wife lost the receipt to the May 18th pull, but the comic books from that week include Drums #1, Jack Staff #1, Super Dinosaur #1, Alpha Flight number 0.1, Fear Itself #1, Rocketeer Adventures #1. The total before taxes on the May 25th pull was $19.96, and the comics included Strange Adventures #1, DUCKTALES #1, Futurama Comics #55, The Image First comic Ultra #1, Kirby Genesis #0, and The Walking Dead #85, which is backed with Witch Doctor #0. What is it Thumper says in the movie Bambi? If you can't say anything nice, make a video on YouTube. First off, what's with all the Kiddie Comics? Admittedly, my memory's not that good, but I remember going straight from Dr. Seuss and Shel Silverstein to Encyclopedia Brown and then Sherlock Holmes, and I kind of skipped the part in the middle where I read Disney comics. I just wasn't attracted to things like Archie and Richie Rich, so comics like DuckTales and Super Dinosaur and Rocketeer Adventures, they aren't nostalgic for me, they're just kind of formulaic. Jack Staff was particularly annoying. My wife asked if it was drawn by someone in grade school, and the story seemed targeted towards kids with ADD-HD. It starts off with, bam, this is Jack Staff. And then 4 pages later, bam, this is Tom Tom the Robot Man. And on the next page, bam, I am Shock, the Master of Electricity. And then 3 pages later, bam, I'm Becky Burdock, Vampire Reporter. And then 3 pages later, bam, they call me Detective Inspector Maverick featuring Detective Sergeant Zipper Nolan. And while my brain is spinning, I'm thinking, couldn't you just introduce 1 character, maybe 2, and if you do that well enough, I'll come back and read some more. The one cool thing in the Kiddie Comics was this blacklight poster included in the Futurama comic book. As for the Marvel comics, let me take a step back and let you know, I've been reading Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, and it's made me think more critically about everything, including comics. For instance, I'm more aware of the events that take place between panels, in the gutter, so to speak. And I've become more aware of how much time is passing inside each panel. So I notice gaps in Marvel's production, like in these 2 panels from Fear Itself. I have questions like, when did Iron Man open his mask, and why couldn't they indicate he was opening his mask in that first panel, and how many other things happened between these panels that they decided to leave out? This is the kind of weak editing I see in Marvel Comics, more than I see in other publishers, and it makes me wonder how they get so much market share. I did find things more to my liking in the Independence and the Vertigo titles, but it wasn't all gravy. Orc-Stain had its moments, but overall it felt like World of Warcraft fan fiction. Drums is trying to bring color and cultural balance to comics, but the almost complete absence of any Caucasians seems a little forced. Kirby Genesis is literally only half a comic before it gets into the behind-the-scenes artwork, and for some reason there are 4 pages that each proclaim a special preview of Kirby Genesis #1. Like the other comics I've read from the Luna Brothers, Ultra seems like a comic book full of women characters written by men. Strange Adventures is an interesting collection of disjointed Ultra short stories, and there's some real gems in it, but I feel cheated because I want more from each story, except for the cover story, which is a preview of an upcoming Azzarello and Rizzo story called Spaceman. Spaceman may turn out to be interesting in a fully fleshed out story, but in this limited context, it's just confusing. Last, I'm glad you included The Walking Dead #85. I read the first collection of these when the TV show was getting a lot of buzz, and no, I still haven't watched the TV show. And while I thought it was a good story, I didn't understand why it was such a big deal. After reading this, I think I get it. The Walking Dead is like if Gossip Girl or 30-something were set during the zombie apocalypse. It's sort of a prime-time zombie apocalypse soap opera. On the backside of The Walking Dead is a preview of a comic called Witch Doctor, which holds some real promise. It's sort of as if John Constantine's Hellblazer were a medical doctor, and he was more hands-on with his patients. Enough about comics. I loved your Zombie Apocalypse soundtrack, and I thought If Your Bird Can Sing was a great song for the zombie horde chase scene. It's a perfect countertempo to the things that would take place in that scene, plus it's got lines like "You can't get me," and "When your prized possessions weigh you down," which is inevitably what the zombie horde chase scene subtext is all about. Look forward to a video from my wife Becky on this channel where she'll talk about her zombie apocalypse soundtrack. And you should go back to your video and add annotations with links to those songs and other YouTube videos. In your next video, I'd like you to take a page from one of my favorite YouTubers, Haley G. Hoover. I know Hank Green and John Green have made videos where they try to cram a lot of topics into a single video, but I really like the way Haley did it. So I want you to list in rapid succession 50 things in your life that you're happy have happened. Sort of an inverted bucket list. Good luck fitting 50 things into 4 minutes, and I look forward to your next video.